You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
It's time for the Dragon Con Report, a podcast dedicated to help newcomers and veterans prepare for the upcoming annual convention in downtown Atlanta. With interviews, advice, and news from the pros and fans alike. Be careful, you never know. You might actually learn something.
Howdy, everyone. Welcome to the fourth episode of the 2023 Dragon Con Report. We continue our 12th season covering the con we love so much. I'm your host, Mike Gordon. I'm pleased to introduce you to the rest of our station crew, starting with Jen.
Yeah.
Hey, Jen.
Hello. Good
We're
evening,
here.
everyone.
Howdy. How are things?
Good. You know, still in construction land over here. It's going to take months, but that's what happens when you decide to build a bar in your own home.
Yeah, well, I'm anxious to see it, you know. And it probably takes longer because you're probably using some of the ingredients of the bar, right?
Oh no, I'm not. All that is still boxed up.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Such
The
restraint.
barware, the glasses, none of that's coming out. I don't want to break it. Now, I do have a second bar in the house, but I'm not going to use power tools and mix it with rum. So
That's
just a missing finger waiting to happen.
Absolutely. Channing is here as well. Howdy, sir.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
All right, and yourself?
I could complain, but wouldn't do any good. Waiting to wrap up. As you can see, I've got a big old plate of crawfish behind me. I'm just waiting to dive into Scrooge McDuck style. That's
Absolutely.
gonna be the plan.
Wow, absolutely. Yeah, that's huge. That's a huge plate there. Almost lobster size.
Yes. It's going to be the next Sci-Fi Channel movie, Killer Crawfish. There's just going to be giant crawfish coming after people.
We've also got with us, joining us for the first time, Hanako is here.
Hello.
Howdy. Did I get it right?
It's Hanako.
Hanako. All right. Hanako. All right.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Okay, hi, my name is Hanako Ricks. I am the creator and host of the Phantom Hybrid podcast. It is a podcast where I get together with some of my friends and we talk about all things geeky. I am also a long time Dragon Con attendee. I've been going to Dragon Con since 2007. I've been a panelist there since 2009. And I am excited to be here tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you have any sort of favorite Dragon Con memory?
You know, I think the very first time walking into Dragon Con is always a favorite because I'm an Atlanta native and I really never knew that this was here in that sense. Of course, I'm a Black nerd and that was not the cool thing to be when up in the 80s and the 90s. And I happened to find Dragon Con because some of the cast from Harry Potter were going to be here that year. And my, one of my best friends and I, we decided to come and we walked into the Marriott and we just looked and we were like, oh my God, we're home. It was the most fantabulous thing I had ever seen. And it has become a staple for me. Like if I haven't put in my time off by the second week in July, my boss will actually call me and say, are you going to Dragon Con this year? Yes, I haven't seen your requests off yet. Let me take care of that right now. So yeah, that's one of my all-time favorites.
You know, I find it interesting. I ask that question to everybody. I love hearing everybody's story about how they discovered Dragon Con and what it was like that first time. But very rarely, if at all, have I ever heard anybody say, well, I went and I was okay. And then I kept going and it kind of grew on me. It's like when you get there, the first time,
Well, and many people also always say for their first time that it's home. Like we all have that.
Yeah.
This is where I belong. I'm home feeling.
Yeah. I can let my geek flag fly.
Yeah.
or the
Yes.
I might be the most normal person here. I'm like, I've never felt
Wow.
that before.
It was so
It-
interesting because she and I, like I said, I was a huge Harry Potter fan. So we have on these like basic black robes and our little ties. Back then, you could only find Gryffindor and Slytherin merchandise. You couldn't find anything Ravenclaw or Hufflepuff. And we're coming up the escalator just looking at things, and someone steps out and they're like, "Hey, we're from Snitch Seeker. Can we take your picture for the website?" We were like, "What? What is this?" Someone wants to take our picture because we're dressed up like geeks. Oh, this is cool. Yeah, it was a very eye-opening experience. It was so much fun. And Dragon Con was only half, I think it was about half the size as it is now.
Yeah.
So back then it was crowded, and now it's just grown, and I still love it. It's like my vacation every year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you usually spend Dragon Con? Do you do it sounds like you participate in panels. Do you cosplay a lot?
I've tried cosplaying a couple of times, and I learned in 20, I think it was 18, that the heat and me cosplaying don't get along. It's too much. So I just basically I have on like my geek shirts. I always buy like geeky jewelry. So that's pretty much the extent of my dressing up. I do spend a lot of time at panels. Like I said before we started recording, if you give me an opportunity to talk about geek stuff, I'm going to take it.
Mhm.
So I started paneling at Dragon Con probably, I think it was 2009. And at first it was just like a panel here, maybe a couple of panels there. I started on the young adult literature track. And over the years, as word of mouth has kind of I've gotten on more panels. So I think last year at Dragon Con, I did 11 panels.
Ooh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
We
yeah,
were actually
I
on one together.
we were. Was it
Yeah.
it was a Marvel one? Was it the Miss Marvel?
It was Miss Marvel.
It was Miss Marvel, and that was a great panel. So yeah,
It was.
I just love going and being able to talk and listen to other people's perspectives about the same things that we like. You know, of course, we all have different ways of viewing the things that we partake in, and it's just always interesting to hear other people's point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one thing that Dragon Con has been good at from day one, at least as long as I've been going, which is almost close to day one. Not quite there yet, but or not quite there ever, because it's not like I can go back and change that. Ooh, that's a be an interesting thing. I never thought about that. Like get in the TARDIS and go like to the very first or second Dragon Con. How weird would that be?
That would be so interesting.
Well, would you go as far back as Atlanta Fantasy Fair, or just when it became Dragon Con?
Just when you became Dragon Con, and I'd get an eternal badge right there.
Oh yeah,
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. It'd probably be like $25.
Right. Right.
I think when I started going in 2007, when I was looking at the memberships, I think it was only maybe $1,500 then, and I was like, oh my God, that's a lot. I don't even know if I'll like it that much. This is of course before I set foot, and like you, I'm like, I should have gotten it now, and it's like now I'm just like
yeah, it's $4,500 now.
Oh my God.
It's still a bargain, I guess, because it's only, I mean, the rates are only going to go up, and we'll get to.
I mean, if you're like 20, it's a bargain.
Yeah, well,
exactly.
That's,
yeah.
Not
your money's
not
worth.
when you're 47.
Right.
And
that depends. Can you transfer it to family?
Nope. They've already established that you can't. So.
Yes. Did we ever find out like if you skip a year, if that's okay?
It's still yours, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I wasn't sure
It's
like
eternal.
if you had to be consecutive.
It's eternal.
But I didn't know if it meant consecutive.
It's a lifetime membership. Once you
have to
sign
go.
your name in blood, it is yours.
You are drawn there.
Actually, when you die, your spirit is trapped at Dragon Con. You can't cross over.
That's not a bad way
I was gonna say that wouldn't be a bad
live in the afterlife.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd take that.
Yeah, I'd take that too.
As long as there's pie.
Look, you'd be able to get into panels that you normally can't get into now.
And no elevators.
Yep.
You just go through the floors. Yeah.
Wow, that is awesome, though. Hanika, what? Tell us a little bit about your podcast.
So we started the podcast in September of 2020 after everything shut down. That year I was supposed to go to 5 different conventions, and of course everything got canceled. And I was just itching for a way to talk about shows that were still on TV. I have previous experience as a podcaster, as a co-host of Sci-Fi Party Line podcast, and that one was kind of, as everyone was getting busy with lives, we weren't recording as much. And Kat, the person who runs that podcast, she's been trying to get me to do one for years. So I finally decided to jump the bullet or bite the bullet and say, okay, let's just do this and see where it goes. And we have been having lots of fun. We cover a lot of fantasy TV, a lot of genre TV. So we do talk about a lot of the Marvel stuff. We've covered The Last of Us. We've covered The Boys. We've covered Invincible. We're covering Shadow and Bone and The Wheel of Time right now. And we have some other things that we're trying to decide what we're going to do, because the first year we were very ambitious. We basically were like, hey, we got a podcast. We can talk about everything. And my schedule said, no, we cannot. So we're being a little more selective with the things that we're trying to talk about on the actual show. And then this has afforded us opportunities to work with other podcasters and guests on other shows. And so it's been fun. Like I said, I love to talk. I love to talk about geek stuff. Mm-hmm. And this has been, it has saved my mental health during this whole pandemic.
Yeah. That's a good point too. That I think same here. I think we even did the Dragon Con report during the pandemic, even though there wasn't really much to talk about, except for, like, is it going to happen? We don't think so.
Well, but then we got to talk about the virtual.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I did some of those too. So yeah.
When some people feel that year doesn't count. I count that year.
I count.
I had my bubble over, and we printed out signs to make it look like Dragon Con.
Yes, you
did. And we recreated rum buckets. We had pie.
Oh, that's awesome. Why didn't I think of that?
And then we put the one of the tracks streaming on the living room TV, and the other feed they were doing on the backyard TV, so that we could act like we were watching all the panels.
That's hardcore.
Yeah. Hardcore or sad? I'm not sure.
No, we're going to go with hardcore.
It's a fine line. Hardcore.
There's nothing about geekdom that is sad.
No.
Yeah.
Like I say, let your geek flag fly.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of your time at Dragon Con, did you go and see Walk of Fame, hang out with guests, that kind of thing?
Absolutely. Right. I am one of those people who I love the opportunity to meet the actors or to meet the authors and just be able to, even if for 5 minutes, just to talk to them and tell them how much I enjoy their work. Like I said, we came to Dragon Con because of the Phelps twins and Matthew Lewis coming in 2007. And then as I'm going through the guest list, I'm like, wait, these are a lot of Battlestar Galactica people. Wait, these are a lot of Stargate people. Jason Momoa is coming. I'm there. I don't care if anybody else is on the guest list. Jason Momoa is there. I'm there. He was one of the first people that I met. He told me I had beautiful hair, and it was an awesome experience.
And it was over.
But I also met some really cool people that day. Richard Hatch from Battlestar Galactica, rest in peace. He was actually one of the very first people we met when we walked into the Walk of Fame. And we're looking around because we've never seen anything like this. And I'm like, they have all the stars here and they're talking to people and they're mingling. It was just very odd to me because, of course, you start out looking at those celebrities as untouchable. Like, I'll never get a chance to meet them and whatever. Mm. And Richard Hatch walked up to us and he was like, hey, how are you guys doing? We're like, fine. Hi. And he asked us about our experience. We told him we were newbies. We were like, we just got here like an hour ago. And he was like, oh, okay, I've been coming, for a while and it's fun. And he actually sat there and had a conversation with us. He wasn't rushing us off. He was telling us about different things to do. And it was just such a pleasant experience. And it's one of the experiences that I have measured every single celebrity experience I've had since, because he was just so nice and so warm and so open. And that wasn't anything I was expecting. I was just like, I just want to go to a panel and see them talk. If I can get to do that, that would be great. And then, we got to meet so many other people and talk to them and, have fun with some of the celebrities during photo shoots. A few years back, I volunteered for one of the photographers that used to do the photo shoots way back then, and got to meet a lot of people that way and just have regular conversations with them and, talk about their impact on me as far as what they do in media and as a Black female nerd or a Black woman nerd who, was always kind of looked at kind of weird, like, oh, that this is something I'm sure Channing has heard it too. Oh, you like that white people stuff. You like the weird stuff. And I'm like, why does it have to have a color? I like this stuff. My dad was a Trekkie. So, just being able to talk to them and say, hey, your work has had impact on me and I really appreciate it. That's something I never thought I'd be able to do. And the fact that we get to do it a lot and that they reciprocate, it's one of the best things about DragonCon for me. It's so much fun to be able to sit there and be like, hey, so let me tell you, when your character did this, I wasn't feeling it. And they could be like, yeah, I wasn't feeling it either, but that's what we get. So that's what we have to do. It's a different experience. And, a lot of people, they have asked me, they're like, so you paid to go and take pictures or to get autographs? I'm like, you guys will pay hundreds, thousands of dollars for a sports game and you never get to meet the players. You never get to talk to them and tell them how much of an impact they've made. So yeah, I love it. I just love the whole experience.
Yeah, well, great, because our main topic is going to be all about guests and celebrities and Walk of Fame and all that stuff. We've got stories. I think we're going to have a special guest join us. Hopefully, fingers crossed that works out. So we'll see about that. But yes, we're glad to have you with us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And of course, also with us behind the scenes is Director Faber. He's working his magic there. Thank you. And of course, all of you that are joining us live on Facebook and YouTube and StreamYard, we really appreciate you guys. This has been a really great time doing this live. I think it's added a whole new dimension to doing this show. We've been doing this show for, like I said, this is our 12th year. And sometimes it kind of gets like, what do we talk about? What do we, we're going over the same topics over and over and over again. But this, having you guys as an audience, as a live audience, interact with us, it's really great. It adds a whole new dimension to it. So I appreciate that. So let's get over some business. We are a proud member of the ESO Network. We have a TeePublic store filled with all kinds of cool stuff, including a very cool design of the DragonCon Report podcast t-shirt, like this. There's a link for that.
Professional model.
No. I'm not going to quit my day job. There's a link for all the TeePublic store in this episode's show notes. If you're listening and if you're watching, just go to the ESO Network page, and it's right at the top. I probably am. It's like, can't do that much anymore. We also have a Patreon page, and thank you, patrons, for all your support. There's all sorts of ESO Network, really cool exclusive stuff there, so check that out. And again, we appreciate everybody who donates to that across our network. Want to welcome all our viewers, like I said, to Facebook, YouTube. The audio version of our show is still available via all the usual places. That'd be Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, Audible.com, etc., etc. Wherever you can find great podcasts, we're there too. In addition, you can also access past episodes of DragonCon Report right at the website, dragonconreport.com. And however you access our show, please like and share, leave us comments, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, we really appreciate it. We really appreciate that. That's a free way that you can support us. Also, if you want to leave us direct feedback or comment on the show, please feel free to email us at feedback@dragonconreport.com. You can also reach out to us via Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on all those. And the Dragon Con Report is an unofficial podcast of the con. We are not and never have been officially connected with Dragon Con. For all official news, we strongly recommend checking out the official site and all the social media outlets of all the tracks and whatnot. So yeah, nothing that you hear here is official, but hopefully it's somewhat accurate. because now it's time for some news. Well, just to get it out of the way, Dragon Con, obviously the dates are August 31st and September 4th this year, Labor Day weekend. Memberships are still available online, 5-day memberships, $155. They went up since I think we last talked. So they're $155. They were going to keep going up. I think the next, I don't know, I haven't seen a date on when they're going to go up again, but it's probably what, $175 next, right? It's been
about $20.
Mm-hmm. So we always say, get them while you can, get them as cheap as you can, as early as you can. Don't know anything about day passes yet, single day passes. Right now, just the 5-day memberships are available. But man, that is quite a deal, right? $155 for 5 days.
Mm-hmm. It's 24 hours a day, and some of us it's 6 days. Some of us it's 7 days.
I was gonna say 5 days is more like a guideline, because if you go a couple of days early, you will find people walking around downtown or in the hotel lobby
and unofficial parties
already going.
Unofficial meetups and
and
that stuff's free. So
5 days is really the bare minimum.
Yeah. I think technically speaking, Dragon Con is about a week now, like minimum.
7 day. Yeah, well, I wouldn't, but someday probably. I've seen WrestleMania go from 1 day to a week. So I wouldn't put past Dragon Con to be able to do that as well. So that's all the information on memberships. Again, they are non-transferable, non-refundable. So once you get them, they're yours to keep. And but we hope we see you there. So and I think there's no hard fast rule on the attendance this year. I've heard they want to keep it down. But it's going to be
slow increase is what they said.
Yes, a slow increase. It's not going to be pre-pandemic, right? Right before the pandemic numbers, but it's also going to be larger than last year. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah.
So, other news: the Dragon Award nominations are now open. So feel free to go there and submit your favorite nominees of the year. They've changed some of the categories. So look those over, and this is a chance for you to just nominate whatever you want. So I don't know if is there a podcast category? We need to be up for that, right? I
think there actually
would be a write-in.
Yeah. So whether it's a TV series or novel or documentary or movie, what have you, if you wanted to get some love at the Dragon Awards, now's your time to nominate it. And then once the process is over, then the actual voting will happen. So vote more than once. Now the Dragon Awards follow a fiscal year schedule. So the nominees must have been released after July 1st of last year and must be released before June 30th of this year. So it's not like, it's not a calendar year. It's a fiscal year. So just keep that in mind when you're writing stuff in. So that's the Dragon Award. Man, those look really cool. That would be a nice thing to have on the shelf back there. Like, they look really cool, don't they? Like there's sort of like little teardrops, dragon teardrops or something.
Is this like the Oscars? Can we kind of start politicking for the award now? Submit it for your
It doesn't
approval.
say anywhere that I've ever seen that you can't ask people to nominate you.
No, you can't. I mean, I think so. I think that's fair, but so
There
right there.
There
That would be amazing. That would be more text I would have to say when I open the show. So that would be great. It would be worth it. Also, I think I saw this on your site, Jen. The Bunny Hutch party is moving.
I had it on my list to share that, actually. About a week or so ago, the organizers of the Bunny Hutch party announced they are officially moving away from the Hilton Grand Salon and over to the mothership. This year, it will be in the Marriott Atrium
Oh,
Ballroom.
wow.
Moving on.
So,
Okay.
I mean, going from, when it originally used to be unofficial in the Pulse Loft area to
Yeah.
then like a smaller ballroom, then they outgrew that quickly. It's in the Hilton Grand Salon, who many of us have felt has like they outgrew it the first year they moved to it because it was so packed. And then,
Yeah.
in recent years, boy, there's been like a 3-hour line, if not longer, to get in, because you have to wait for a person to leave once it hits capacity. So
Yeah.
hopefully moving to the Atrium Ballroom will help them have space for everyone, or maybe they'll be more interested and there'll still be a 3-hour line, but we'll see. We'll see how it affects traffic there
Right.
on the atrium level as well.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were starting to redirect the line at the Hilton out the back door on these stairs that went to the photograph area, and some of the line would be outside. So
A lot of the line was outside.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without telling on myself too much, I was there at the first one. And have
Yeah, I was there at the
continued to
first
grow,
one.
and Yeah. The growth has been amazing.
Yeah.
And just how they've handled it and kept adding on to it. It is legitimately one of my favorite things, and not just for the obvious reasons.
So the funny thing about the Bunny Hutch is, like, usually I spend a lot of my time in the Marriott and the Hyatt, so I've never really seen the crowds for the Bunny Hutch. But last year I was like, okay, let's go hang out in the Hilton a little more, and seeing the sheer mass of people in line and the sheer creativity of some of these costumes, I was like, okay, I may have to try to get in there next year. So it's nice to know that they're moving, because now I can sit here and plan if I decide to be brave enough to venture in.
So for those people who are new to Dragon Con, because we do get a lot of new folks listening to us, watching us, and we appreciate that as well. We try to give them information as well. What is the Bunny Hutch Party?
So it's basically taking a character or a concept or a cartoon, anything, and you mash that up with a vintage style. At least the majority of the people go for your 60s style Playboy bunny outfit. And then if you have friends that want to join, you can also do the same type of mashup with a hef costume, meaning like a smoker's jacket or a robe, what have you. And people get really creative. Like there's been dinosaur bunnies from Jurassic Park, a whole group of X-Men. Me and my friends, when we used to go and actually enter the contest at the party, we've done He-Man with She-Ra and Skeletor as bunnies. One year we did My Little Pony bunnies, or punnies. We called them punnies. So there's like the sky is the limit on what you can come up with for a mashup.
Yeah, I've seen Cookie Monster Hef. I think one year there was Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny, Hef and bunnies.
Lots of Star
Xena
Wars.
bunnies.
Star Trek. I've seen some great Star Trek mashups with it.
Yeah.
There was one last year. She did Vecna from Stranger Things.
Yes.
And it was so amazing because she had a matching purse that looks like the clock from season 4. It was so amazing. So yeah, I was like, oh, okay, where have I been all of these years? This is amazing.
And that's on Thursday
night. And it's not just so in case there's any newbies, it is not required to make one of those costumes to attend the party. Yeah, it's there's a theme, but you don't have to, participate. You can just go and dance and have a good time and costume watch.
Gotcha. Now, if you want to participate in the contest, is that a trickier, or you just
there is a pre-screening process. They've slightly tweaked it each year. In the past, there's been some pre-judging where you would go, like show up at 5:00 and do the sign-up process and a pre-judging process. But they're trying to streamline it a little bit more each year because there's only so much space they have to allow people to sign up, because then your contest is going to be like the whole 4-hour party. So, but you can find there's the Bunny Hutch group for DragonCon on Facebook. They just started posting about what the process for the costume contest is going to be this year, and it looks like they're going to handle the pre-screening online
Oh wow. Okay.
before a certain date, and you can you'll be able to send in, like, they don't expect everybody to have their costume done now, but you could show progress pictures and things like that, and it's to help cut down on the sign up time and waiting time for contestants at the convention, because when we used to have to go at 5 o'clock, but then the party doors didn't open until 9, although technically they would let the contestants in the room at 8, but those costumes can be uncomfortable because they're tight, and that's more time to have a costume malfunction. So being in it an extra 4 hours can get a bit rough. And then once you get it on, you're not exactly going to be like, okay, I'm going to take this off till the doors open. No, you're not, because that's a process. But yeah, if you're interested in finding out more information, you can look up the Bunny Hutch at DragonCon group on Facebook.
Awesome. Very cool. Also in other news, the parade registration still open as of this recording. I went there this afternoon and it's still open. I'm just amazed at that. I don't understand. Are they allowing more people to participate, or is it going to go on all day? But I also saw Channing, you posted something about the parade as well. Did you want to make an announcement here too?
Yeah. So our group, the Black Geeks of Dragon Con, we're partnering with the diversity track, and we're going to be marching, hopefully with a larger group this year. A few of us did it last year. It was a lot of fun. Last year, I think the parade was right at about an hour. The route is a little more or a little less than a mile, so it wasn't terrible. Boy Scouts were there; they had water for us, so we wouldn't get dehydrated. I always say about the parade, I recommend any first timers go to the parade. It's a lot of fun. If you're a veteran, you can maybe skip a couple of years and watch it on TV unless there's a big change. But yeah, it is real good for first timers or people watchers. Definitely, yeah, check out the parade. We're working on a group costume, some of us. I won't spill anything, but I'm hoping we will turn a few heads.
Gotcha. So the spot that you have, do you have to all be in that theme that you guys are doing, or is it something that everybody can do whatever? What is there a tying theme with that group?
With our group, no. The diversity track, since it was, obviously promoting diversity, so
Sure.
yeah. So everybody was just kind of in their own costumes, and that would still be the case. But some of my friends and family, we had this idea for about 6 of us. We're gonna have a themed costume. But last year we had a Starfire, we had a Carnival Poison Ivy. I was actually just in a geeky T-shirt because it was my first parade, so I didn't know any better. Yeah, so we had a little bit of everything, which for the diversity track makes perfect sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of groups are still accepting people. Last time I looked, the Captain America group, you can still sign up to march with them. Wings of Dragon Con, which is just any cosplay that has wings. Anything Star Wars related. So they're the bigger groups, like the 501st and the GI Joe cosplayers. But then you have the little smaller groups that are still looking for people to march with and get a chance to kind of show out and have a little bit of fun.
Gotcha. And if people want to find out what your group's doing or how to be involved with your group, where do they go?
So I would start by going to the Diversity and Speculative Fiction group on Facebook. That's the official name of the track. And Jarvis should have some information posted. And you can also look in our group, which is the Black Geeks of Dragon Con. We've got a post there also.
Cool. All right. So I've never participated in the parade. That's one thing I've never done over all the years that I've been there. I've watched it a few times, but yeah, I've never participated. So that would be, it might be cool. I don't know. It's not something that it's on my bucket list, but it is something that I'm kind of like, maybe if the opportunity was there. If
Yeah,
I could
it
ride
was
around and if I could
online.
ride around and wave, maybe.
No, I had
Yeah.
somebody ask if I'd be with their group, and I was like, if I can ride in one of the vehicles, sure.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
Get one of
Uh,
those
I'm
Uber
hoping we get
Bird
that.
scooters and ride that through the parade.
I've seen people do that.
okay, well, the Dragon Con Theater and Performing Arts Lovers still has spots in their group, so yeah, you can check that out too. So yeah, I'm just amazed because usually the registration for the parade sells out like in a half hour or something. It's been 2 months, it feels like, and it's still not full. So I don't know do you think there's a lack of interest, or do you think they're allowing more people, or what have you guys?
I think just like attendance is going right now, they're probably making it a bit bigger each year, and also I think it's more common now for people's schedules to be a little bit more in flux. So it
Right.
could be there. A lot of people don't know yet if a lot of people started new jobs after the pandemic because their previous job went away. So people just might have completely different circumstances than when they used to be able to jump right on it when something opened before and be like, yes, I know I can be somewhere in 11 months from now.
And let's not forget, there's other programming going on at Dragon Con while the parade is happening.
Yeah.
So some folks may, they may want to see what else is going on Saturday before they truly commit.
Yeah, they
Well,
usually
I
have
think
some
by
of
the
the
time
major.
Yeah, there is a big
Yeah,
panel.
some of the major panels are usually at like 10 and 11:30 that morning.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There's always something to do. I mean, when the parade's going on, sometimes it's the best time to shop.
That's when I do. I either go to the vendor hall or I go to the Center of Puppetry Arts, and go because in the past they've had like the Dark Crystal featured one year, Labyrinth featured one year. So I go ugly cry through a hall of puppets. It's a blast.
It is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. All right, so that's all the parade. The only other item I saw was that the Dragon Con Urban Fantasy announced that they will once again present the live action Buffy Horror Picture Show.
Are you rating my group for news?
I think we have a lot of the same, we're in the same circles, I think, in some cases. But yeah. And for those people who do not know what the Buffy Horror Picture Show is,
it's basically Once More with Feeling performed live with a shadow cast, just like Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. Very popular.
Very
popular.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to talk about an insane line.
It's not something they do every year. I don't know if they've done it since the pandemic.
I don't think they have either. And before the pandemic, they also, because it's so popular, and also Dr. Horrible's sing along is so popular, they began to alternate where because they used to do them both the same year. But now 2019 and earlier, they started alternating. So I'm curious to see if, since Buffy was announced for this year, if that means we'll be seeing Dr. Horrible again next year. Because it'd be a shame to lose it, because that, she's just as popular as Buffy. So
yeah,
catchy tunes to sing along to about nerddom. Come on.
I think those two things, it's kind of cool that those two things are kind of living the life of their own without the dark cloud that is the Joss Whedon verse, so so that's cool. That's all I have. So I don't know if you had anything else that I missed on your site, Jen.
No, because you said everything I shared in my group.
So yeah. So we're going to now go to guest announcements. We're going to get that done as fast as we can. There's a lot of them. Man, there was a lot of them. So not every guest is listed on here, but I think a good chunk of them are, and there's some pretty interesting names that are coming up. So without further ado, Channing and Jen, take it away.
The Atlanta Radio Theater Company was created in 1984 by Thomas E. Fuller, William Brown, and Patrick Stansberry. Their shows bring the immediacy of live theater, the imagination of storytelling, and adventures in sound. Channing, you're muted.
Speaking of adventures in sound.
And that was a perfect read. I'm Jenny Breeden is the creator of the journal webcomic The Devil's Panties, which she has been posting daily since 2001.
She's also involved in kilt blowing. Just going to throw that out there, which is another great event at Dragon Con. Chuck Brown is an Eisner and Ringo Award-winning comic book writer. He is the current writer for Aquaman. He has written Bitterroot, co-creator, The Punisher, Black Panther, and Wolverine. He is also the writer and creator of The Quiet Kind and On the Stump.
Eric Burnham is a Minnesotan writer and artist, best known for a decade-long run writing IDW's critically acclaimed Ghostbusters books, the webcomic Downside, and for being a generally awkward individual. Join the club. Eric is currently writing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures.
Raymond Carr is a Jim Henson Company trained puppeteer and award-winning independent filmmaker. He is a board member of Film Impact Georgia and the Jim Henson Foundation.
Dr. Kenneth Carpenter is currently the Hubble Space Telescope Operations Project Scientist and the Ground Systems Project Scientist for the Roman Space Telescope at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center.
Sean Copeland is a senior manager of lore for Blizzard Entertainment. His 17-year career includes providing narrative design, world building, and lore expertise for major franchises including Diablo, Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, Overwatch, StarCraft, and World of Warcraft. Sean is also a best-selling author, award-winning historian, and lore trivia powerhouse.
Nathan Fillion is an actor and voice actor, best known for his role as Richard Castle on the ABC series Castle, as well as his earlier portrayal of the lead role of Captain Malcolm Reynolds in the television series Firefly, and his feature film continuation Serenity. He has most recently starred in ABC's The Rookie.
Mandip Gill is best known as companion Yasmin Khan in Doctor Who, appearing in every episode of series 11, 12, and 13.
Bill Goyer has been a writer and artist for Archie Comics for over 30 years. Bill has worked on scripting and illustrating a diverse set of titles and covers for the company. Bill lives in the Southeast and is excited to be back at Dragon Con after many years.
Yaya Han is a cosplayer, designer, and author. She has been featured in multiple U.S. network TV shows and countless magazines, books, and newspapers, and is the first to bring branded cosplay-focused sewing and crafting products to mass retail. She's also the author of Yaya Han's World of Cosplay.
Richard Scott Harmon is best known for his role as John Murphy in CW's The 100. Harmon is also known for his roles as Jasper Ames in The Killing and Julian Randall on Continuum. Harmon received critical praise for his role in the movie If I Had Wings.
Tom Hintjes is the co-founder and publisher of Hogan's Alley magazine, the Eisner Award-winning magazine about contemporary and classic cartooning. He is a former managing editor of the Comics Journal and for years wrote biographical essays for Will Eisner's Spirit magazine for Kitchen Sink Press.
George Genty is an Eisner winner and New York Times best-selling artist for the critically acclaimed Buffy the Vampire Slayer. His art can be seen at Marvel on Extinction, Captain America, and Manslaughter, just to name a few. He's also working on Disney's Star Wars The High Republic series.
Van Jensen is an acclaimed comic book writer. He has crafted stories for Superman, The Flash, Green Lantern, James Bond, and many others. His original series and graphic novels include Arca, Two Dead, Cryptocracy, and more Pinocchio Vampire Slayer.
Bethany Kelsler is a historian, writer, podcaster, and fabulous reader. Most of her work is under the pen name DJ Gray, which she maintains for plausible deniability reasons.
Matt Kent is a Harvey Award-winning and New York Times best-selling writer and artist of comics and graphic novels. His work includes Mind Management, Berserker with Keanu Reeves, Bang, Department H, ENIAC, Super Spy, and more. He has an imprint with Dark Horse Comics called Flux House. He lives with his wife and Spy Superb collaborator, colorist, and artist Charlene Kent.
Caroline Laporta has been building costumes for over 20 years, including with the Radio City Rockettes, the New York City Ballet, Broadway and touring productions, and several feature films.
Sean Mayer is well known to television and film audiences for his role as Dr. Simon Tam in Firefly and the Universal feature Serenity.
Bob Morley is an actor that stars as Bellamy Blake in the CW's drama sci-fi series The 100, which in 2015 he was nominated for a Teen Choice Award for Choice TV Actor in a Sci-Fi Fantasy Show for his outstanding performance.
David Moscato is a paleontologist, science writer, and host of Common Descent podcast, where he applies his experience as a fossil hunter and researcher to entertaining and educational discussions.
Author Amy J. Murray is a two-time Dragon Award finalist for Best Military Science Fiction or Fantasy Novel for her Allies and Enemies series. She's an active member of SFWA.
Cartoonist animator Robert Pope draws the Peanuts gang for Simon & Schuster and Looney Tunes for DC. He's drawn Scooby-Doo, Batman, Powerpuff Girls, and more for DC, IDW, as well as animating for Cartoon Network Classics, Space Ghost Coast to Coast, The Animaniacs, The Brack Show, and others.
Trina Ray is the Deputy Science Manager and Investigation Scientist for the radar instrument on NASA's Europa Clipper mission. She's worked 20 years on the Cassini-Huygens mission to Saturn, specializing in Titan, starting her career working on Voyager. She's invited to speak around the nation.
Riddle is an internationally recognized cosplayer who has been cosplaying for over 20 years. While she continues to cosplay, she has transferred the skills she learned from cosplay to working on such films as Marvel's Endgame as a specialty costumer, as well as various shows on Disney+. Hey, to be fair, I'm giggling because the word cosplay is in that block 30 times.
Erica Schultz is a Ringo Award-nominated comic book writer, best known for her work on X-23, Moon Knight, and Daredevil for Marvel, and her creator-owned series, The Deadliest Bouquet with Image Comics. She's also worked with 2000 AD, Dark Horse, Dynamite, Red 5, and more.
Michael A. Stackpole is an award-winning novelist, game designer, computer game designer, podcaster, screenwriter, and graphic novelist, best known for I, Jedi, and Rogue Squadron.
Jewel State is best known for her role as Kaylee Fry in the Fox television series Firefly and its spin-off theatrical film Serenity, and as Jennifer Keller on Sci-Fi Channel's science fiction series Stargate Atlantis.
Eliza Taylor is an Australian actress best known to DragonCon fans as the lead Clark Griffin in the CW series The 100. She also starred in the 2014 film The November Man as Sarah.
Jodie Whittaker is best known for portraying the 13th incarnation of Doctor Who and Beth Lemmer in Broadchurch. I'd also like to point out she was in Attack the Block.
And that's it.
That's it. Thank you, guys. I don't think maybe there's some happy folks out there. A little buzz going because.
How can you not be happy about Nathan and Jodie?
Well,
right. Come on.
We got 3 Firefly and 3 from the 100.
Dr.
Right?
Who. Dr.
So,
Who.
and
not
Dr.
as bad
Who.
as last week.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, not as many drunk people as last week. And I will say, if you get to see anyone from Firefly, go. They are hilarious.
Yeah.
Especially when you get them all in a group.
Yeah.
They're a fun group.
Absolutely. Also, this isn't quite breaking news because it was first, I think, reported by the Earth Station 1 podcast last week, but it is official that I am once again a guest as well. So thank you. Yes, this will be, in some capacity, this will be my 30th DragonCon in a row that I'm going to. In some capacity, the first time I was the honor of being a guest was 2011, I think. So, but I never take it for granted. It's an amazing con, and I'm glad to participate in it. I'm really proud of the fact that they have me. So I will have a table in the comics and pops art area. I don't know exactly what the number will be. It'll probably be the same location I was last year, but who knows? So more information on that as we go. But right now, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about guests and guest stories and guesting and stars and celebrities and all that kind of fun stuff. And we've got a special guest to join us as well. So stay tuned.
Everybody go drink some water.
Yeah, really. So I don't want to take a long break because we're running kind of long. I didn't think the news section would take as long as it did.
I have to open the door. The dogs are starting to kick it even louder. So
All right.
unfortunately, deal with pug snoring more than the dog slapping the door.
Dogs
I
are
appreciate-
such divas.
I appreciate you waiting and hanging out, John.
Hey, hush.
So
Get in here, lady.
I go through the same things with my cats.
yeah, they our cats like will bug, and man, they will yell and have a fit if Michelle's in her office during the day working. But if I'm podcasting, they don't care at all.
Yeah.
Oh no. While you guys were reading the news, one of them was sitting right here meowing. I was like, will you please hush? And like I said, my Leia, usually when we're podcasting, she makes it a habit to get up on the desk and walk right in front of the camera and put her butt in the camera and then leave. So she's been on the desk twice already, but she's walked behind the laptop today. So
Gotcha.
She's got
I don't
respect
know.
for
Maybe
the show.
she understands we're a guest and this is not mommy's show. So
One of these days we'll have to do an all pet episode of the Dragon Con.
absolutely, that would be so fun.
It'll probably be our biggest, most watched show yet. So
Yeah, I've got a black lab mix. I don't know if we're ready for that level of chaos.
It can't be more than a Chihuahua Dotson Min Pin mix or a really excitable pug. Come on, y'all hear her snore half the time we're recording.
And we are still recording. So we're still live. So hey everybody, and yeah, let's get back to it. So we can get our next guest on. So without further ado, welcome back everybody. And now it's time to talk all about guests at Dragon Con, past, present, or maybe even future. And we've got a special guest to join us right now. John Strangeway is here. John, thank you so much for joining us.
What's up, John?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me.
You know, I mean, everybody's talking about Mandalorians these days. I kind of felt like you needed to be on, man.
I appreciate that. No, I mean, I love all the new Star Wars buzz. It's makes a geek happy. So,
do you still do the Steampunk Boba Fett?
I dusted off the bucket a month ago because Diana Valdez was auctioning off their Steampunk Professor X wheelchair, and I was like, okay, I got to get a test drive one last go before it's done. And so, but yeah, no, I haven't worn that in some time. I've gone over the past 12 years into more comfortable costumes instead of heavy armor. As we get older.
It is definitely on everybody's mind, certainly this week. Mandalorians are for sure.
3 a.m. I'll be there.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna. I think I'm staying up as well tonight.
Yes,
as we record, because yeah, it's happening. So awesome.
This is
John, let's start with you then. First of all, how long have you been going to Dragon Con?
My first year was 2008. And I started volunteering. This is my 12th year coming up volunteering. Mm-hmm. So yeah, what was that? 15? I can't math. I think
I'm not a math guy either. So
I mean, minus the pandemic year, but I still participated in the virtual online. But yeah, no, it's been a whirlwind. 2008 since, and every year since.
And what brought you to Dragon Con in the first place?
Interesting enough, I came down from Jersey to visit a friend Memorial Day weekend, and she took me to the Ren Fair and introduced me to another friend, and he told me about Dragon Con. I'd never heard of it. And he's like, you got to come for that. And I'm like, what the hell is Dragon Con? Because I grew up outside New York City, so I knew about New York Comic Con and some of the bigger ones, but never heard of Dragon Con. So I came back down for Labor Day weekend. I stayed with him, and this was when it was about 45,000 people, and it was the 3 hotels. It was just the Hyatt, Marriott, and Hilton. And I was just enamored. I was just like, oh my God, what is this madness? And it introduced me to, a lot of different genres that I hadn't seen before, i.e. steampunk. So the next year I was like, I want a badass costume. And that's kind of what launched the Steampunk Boba Fett initiative. And 2009 was when I debuted it at Dragon Con. and it kind of took off from that. And then afterwards, I just started doing different costumes. I have to look back at which year I did what costume to remember what Dragon Con it was. So like 2015 was a Morton Joe, and 2016 was Henry Jones Sr., and then 2017 was Ramirez, and then last year we did Our Flag Means Death group, and the year before that was What We Do in the Shadows, and like there's a sundry list of other costumes between, but it's been a blast. So, and then I started volunteering for the alternate history track, which has since changed names, but that was I want to say like 2012, I believe. And then I was there for 6 years, and then I switched over to the pop art and comics track. So I've been doing that since.
Yes.
So I'm up in the artist alley helping with all the different comic artists and writers, and then moderating some panels for them. And I get to see Mike and, a whole bunch of other people randomly.
Yeah, exactly. I always look forward to seeing you every year.
That's where I always run into you at.
Well, during the day,
you're outside the vendor hall and somebody's about to take your photo. Like last year in Ramirez, you were waiting for somebody to meet you.
Yes, that was a lucky, fortunate moment, because there was another cosplayer. She goes by Dr. Molotov Cocktease, and she's known for doing the Atreyu and Artex, where with the horse head.
Oh, yeah, that was a good year.
Breaking everyone's minds and shredding their childhoods. But she's done so many incredible cosplays, going back to at least 2013 it was. She did the newer Centurion Cylon from BSG in the parade. She's done an amazing amount, and she comes from Sydney, Australia. And we've been just associate friends via social media, and I saw her post a picture with this red brim hat, and I said, I know that hat, I have that hat. So I messaged her, I'm like, are you doing a female Ramirez from Highlander? She's like, yes. I'm like, can we get pictures together? I'll go home and get my costume. This was Wednesday. I was already down at the Marriott, checked in, but I live 20 minutes away, so I was like, I'll go home and get it. And Saturday morning we just met up and walked around, and it had a blast. So yeah, this year we're actually planning to do another duo. She wanted to bring back her Marla Singer from Fight Club, and so I'm going to do Tyler Durden, which I will look nothing like Brad Pitt physically. However, I will dress what he's wearing. And I do know some friends who do makeup and prosthetics effects. So my friend Matt Silva will do the kiss scar for me on the back of my hand. So it's the little details that really sell it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's a credit to you that you still excel in the cosplay department, and you have time to volunteer. I mean, that's a lot.
Right. I am exhausted. I'm 42 now, and every night I get back to my room and I have a cup of pie and I pass out. Because during the day I'm in the America's Mart up in the 4th floor walking around, and then I get released around 4 o'clock ish, and I go out and get dressed up. And I mean, the one year when we did the Men in Tights group, we ran around to every hotel singing that song, even the mall.
I loved that group. Oh my God, you guys made me so happy that year.
People asked us, how long have you been practicing this? Like, I'm not kidding you. Our friend had a room on the 2nd floor of the Marriott. We all met up on Thursday to get dressed, put on our tights, make sure the seams were perfect. And we were playing the song just so we could memorize it. And we kept screwing up the 2 lines. We're like, all right, guys, come on, get it together. We can do this. And we finally, after like 20 minutes, that was our prep. We didn't, we weren't rehearsing it for, weeks beforehand. No, that was it. And we just had a ball. And like every lobby hotel we went into, the Hilton had a DJ. He like turned down his music so we could just start, because we just started singing. There's about 15 of us easily just booming the song.
I am shocked that there's not a cult of that yet.
Give it time. Give it time.
I have seen more and more Men in Tights costumes since.
Oh yeah, it's a fun group to do. It's really hard to coordinate that many people with everyone's schedules at Dragon Con. That's the only downside.
Yeah. Sure. Well, our main topic, and thank you for joining us once again, especially on short notice, is talking about guests and geeking out with the stars, close encounters with celebrities, whatever you want to call it, because that's the headline of Dragon Con usually. Like certainly in the papers, in the mass media, they always talk about who's going to be there, You know, and there are some people that don't go at all into the Walk of Fame area. That's not their thing. But for a lot of people at Dragon Con, that is the selling point. And I'm right there with you, because the first year I went back in 1994, you know, the first thing that I did was I went to the then Walk of Fame area, which I believe was in the Hilton. It might have been in the Hyatt. I can't remember. But it was an H hotel. I know that. And the first thing we did was we saw David Prowse, and we were amazed that we could just walk right up to him. I mean, this was the guy that played Darth Vader. There was no line. There was nobody at his table. I think we were pretty early, but because I think he was still kind of setting up or whatever. And it just blew our minds that the quote unquote stars were that accessible. And I think that's one of the things about Dragon Con that makes it even more special than, you know, your I'm not going to point fingers at any particular con, but you got a lot of cons that are basically signature shows, right? People just go wait in line, get signatures or photos, and then leave.
Or their ticket show, you know, hope
Yeah.
that you get a ticket, hope your ticket number gets drawn.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So Channing, do you have a particular celebrity that drew you into Dragon Con?
That drew me into Dragon Con. No, I don't have one, because my first Dragon Con, I was really interested in the cosplayers and the animation and comic side of it. So that's how I discovered. I literally saw I was working for a newspaper at the time, and I guess the Associated Press did a story. So I was looking at this story, and they're showing these costumes. So that was really what I went for. I've had 2 interactions with celebrities there. The first one, Luis Guzman, at the time he was on Battlestar Galactica. He was just a random room party. I saw him. I got a picture of him. I was scared to go up and talk to him because this was my first celebrity encounter. But yeah, cool guy. This was a year I was at Dragon Con by myself, and I just kind of latched on to some other folks. We show up at this random room party. He's just there. He's just chilling. He's talking to people. You could have sworn he's just a regular guy. So yeah, that one was definitely kind of fun for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Jen, what about you?
Well, I also originally went to Dragon Con for costuming, and because my best friend lives in Jersey. She had gone for years. I met her at a wedding in Maryland 8 months before the next Dragon Con was happening in 2010, and she harassed me for months because I had just finished making a Kaylee costume from Firefly. So she was like, "You have to go." And it just so happened when we got there, you know, Sean Mayer was a guest that year. And in fact, we stayed at the Hilton and we were in line for coffee every single morning with him. And just got to chat with him in line, which, you know, cool, great. But, you know, I pick out some guests that either I want to go in the Walk of Fame and have a chat with, or somebody I want to go get a prom photo with, you know, spend a little bit of extra money, and have had a lot of great interactions. And some of them, like, I haven't even meant to. Like, one year, both Michael Rosenbaum and Jamie Bamer were guests, and I was just walking through the hall, and they started yelling at me, harassing me and my friend to just come over and chat with them. And then we'd go over, and they'd tell us jokes for 10 minutes because they're trying to, you know, pass the time until they had to leave to go to their panel. So you get to have these moments that aren't even paid for. Like, you know, This isn't me getting your autograph, which I did end up getting their autographs, you know, after they called us over and shared their time, because it'd feel kind of rude not to. But unscripted moments, I'm being a professional moment. And hey, one year Alice Cooper was a guest. I got to talk with him for 30 minutes. Because no one could find the room that he was in. So there was no one there. He was in a random 5th floor room at the Hilton. And I knew he was there because, you know, lifelong fan of Alice Cooper. Popped my head in thinking it was going to be like a 30-minute line. Nope, no one. And so he's like, "Come on in." And then we bonded because I was a touring musician at the time. and I listened to his satellite radio show when I was touring in California, and it got me through like 8-hour drives. So we bonded over that. His daughter's name is Jennifer. She was also starting to get her arms tattooed at the time. So I got to have this totally not, hey, I'm a celebrity, talk to me about my career, and more of a let's bond on these personal things, which was, as a kid watching Alice Cooper on the Halloween episode of the Muppets, I would have never thought that, hey, in 35 years, you're just going to sit there and be able to chat with him about life. You know, it's
or about what's the in the Wayne's World movie? They're just talking about like local forms of government or something.
Yeah.
Milwaukee.
Yeah.
But I don't think you get to have those kind of moments at a lot of other conventions. You know,
No.
there's a little bit something extra in the air at Dragon Cons when it comes to interactions, and that can even be on the floor, like going to get a drink. You could run into the cast of Eureka who are going to the same bar as you to get a drink, or you can do a pub crawl night with the cast of Battlestar Galactica and hang out with them for 7 hours. It's just where are you going to find that? I'm not going to find that here in Texas. I'm not going to find that without paying a couple $1,000s in San Diego. So
yeah.
I'm mad that you mentioned the cast of Eureka. I loved that show, and I would have killed for some type of random moment to be able to meet up with them.
If they come back, they like to drink at the restaurant bar at the Marriott, but I can't remember what it's called. Right there in the corner with the glass windows.
Oh yeah.
They like to go to that bar. So if they're ever back in the evening around 8:00, because we ran into them almost every single night there. So.
Well, for those people who haven't been to Dragon Con, if you've never been to a con, this might spoil you for other cons, your experience there. And if you've been to other cons, like, other shows, Dragon Con is so unique because it's not in a convention center. I think that is the main thing that is different. And so right away, the environment's different. And I think for the celebrities, it doesn't feel like for the guests, it doesn't feel like a job. Like when they go to a convention center, they sit for a while, they sign, they talk to people, and they take the photos and everything like that. And then, 5:00 or whatever, they're out, they go dinner, they go back to the hotel, they do whatever. Dragon Con's not like that. It's not like it's more like an immersive experience.
Well, and a lot of the celebrities want that immersive experience too. Like,
yes.
they get done at the Walk of the Fame and they're like, all right, where are all these parties I hear about? Right. Like, they want to see all the costumes and all the different events going on in the evening as well.
Yeah, I think there was a few years ago, Tom Felton from Harry Potter was there. And in his off time, he was actually going around with a camera and a microphone, interviewing fans, just about the Dragon Con experience and about Harry Potter. And I thought that was really cool.
Absolutely. John, any experience that you've had? Now, do you fanboy out at all?
I have a couple of fanboy moments with a handful, but I have numerous celebrity encounters over the years, because I will always go to the Walk of Fame at least once, if not twice, during Dragon Con. In fact, my very first year, I remember Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk sitting next to each other in 2008, and I was big Firefly fan, and I walked up to Nathan Fillion and I said, "Wow, that was you in Saving Private Ryan." He's like, "Yeah, I was 25." And I was like, "Yeah, wow, you've gotten so much older now." And I was like, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that. That was a bad move. I shouldn't have said that." And he just kind of like looked at me. I was like, "But you've aged well. You just like fine wine." I'm gonna shut up now.
Nice save.
But and Alan Tudyk, years later, actually, funny enough, because I would do Tucker and Dale as a cosplay, I got to meet him and have a nice moment with him and Tyler Bean at a different convention. But Alan Tudyk's also a very sweet person. I've met him a couple times. I was actually behind him in a bar at a VIP party out in San Diego, and I was just like, I don't have an in. Oh my God, I can't say anything to him. It'll be a bad faux pas. And then Nathan Fillion walks up and he hands him a beer they bought, and I'm like, I just want to party with you. Oh, they're like literally 2 feet in front of me, and I'm like, oh. But
Nathan's like, I remember you. We're not partying with you.
You call me old. Get away.
Right. Yeah, you're blacklisted, man. You're blacklisted.
One of my favorite memories, Edward James Olmos, he was there one year, and I walked up to him and I said, listen, sir, I know everybody loves you from Battlestar Galactica Resurgence, but mine was from Blade Runner. And he says the line at the end, and I was just like, that made my con. It's those little things like that make your whole convention. Recently, I don't know if you guys are fans of The Expanse.
Mm-hmm.
I love The Expanse. The best thing sci-fi put out since Battlestar Galactica.
Yep.
I'm slightly biased, but no, I remember watching that first season. I was like, what is this? Where did sci-fi get the budget for this?
Yeah. Well, they didn't last long.
No, I mean, to be fair, it went 3 seasons. Amazon picked it up. Okay, cool. So got a nice, I mean, the books are fantastic. Anyway, the first year was 2019 or 2018.
Oh, when Wes and
four of the cast were there.
Yeah. I think it was 2019 actually, because I got to go meet them that year.
Right.
Oh, I can remember it by my costume, just like you. I did my my season or Battle of Winterfell I did my Arya costume that year from the final season of Game of Thrones. And when I had met Wes and the other actors during the day, they asked what I was going to be costuming as, and I told them, and then they said, you have to come back when you have this costume on, and we won't take a picture with you until you do. So I had to, I had to go back and get in that costume. And then
that's good motivation.
Yeah. But then they took a picture with me, but then they took a picture of me for, themselves to be like, this is a cool costume. But
well, I was wondering about that too, especially with you, John, like if your cosplay and you've reached a certain, celebrity level of cosplay, I would think, as that opened doors to hang out with and sort of interact with other guests there.
I mean, sometimes I was actually up in Seattle at a steampunk convention, and Jewel State and Sean Marr were guests at it. And so I'm in the green room hanging out because I was a guest for it too. And I'm just like, this seems weird, but you know what? I'm going to go with it. And they were just very pleasant. The biggest thing, talking to, actors, actresses, whatnot, they like writers, whoever, if you treat them like people, they're going to react the same way. Like most people just want to be talked to like regular. If you come at them and being like, they're like, oh, so just, I try not to have a fanboy moment. Bruce Campbell, I can't help myself. It's Bruce Campbell. And I've met him several times. Not at Dragon Con, actually, funny enough. But
I don't think he's ever been at Dragon Con.
No. Nathan Fillion, also fan moment. But like I've got to talk to Mark Badger, and he's great because he'll just cut stories about hanging out in Atlanta. I'll butcher her name, but the actress who played Aversalera in Expanse, I got my picture with her, and she is a beautiful woman and has the voice like she smokes 5 cigars a day, but it's so deep and sultry. It's amazing. And she's whispering in my ear as we're taking the picture. I'm like, please don't stop. Oh my God.
Are you talking about Shora Agdashlu?
Her, yes.
Oh my God. She's in the Renfield movie.
Yeah.
And she plays a bad guy. And I was like, okay, I will be the bad guy. Like, oh my gosh, she is like,
she's fantastic.
I don't know anybody who doesn't love her.
No, I got to meet her at that one year at Dragon Con, and I was just like, oh my God, this is so perfect. She was such a sweetheart. She really was. And but her voice, it was just like, oh, okay. I'm wearing my kilt. I gotta go.
It was live action ASMR. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, very much so. Yeah. No, it was, I mean, her character's fantastic in The Expanse, and it's so funny because she'll just she has to play this very, political, proper politician, but she'll just curse somebody out like a sailor, and, given the chance, doesn't matter. trying to think who else. Mark Singer, Beastmaster was so random. He
I
called
remember
out to
seeing
me.
him really early on.
It was a while ago, yeah. Lance Hendrickson. I ran into him like we were in the Hilton. And I just bumped into him. I'm like the father, and I don't know if you've ever seen No Escape. It's a really like underground movie, but he's in it. Ray Liotta's in it, and he's just like, oh man, No Escape. You've seen that movie? He's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, it's great. It kept me up at 3 a.m. watching it on HBO.
It does seem like at times, I mean, yes, they have the area, the Walk of Fame, and then they have the photo. Now that's split out, they have a photo area down
Right. Marriott, right?
underneath the
Basement of the
Marriott,
Marriott,
right?
yeah.
Basement.
Yeah.
So there's that, but yeah, it seems like a lot of times you never know where you're going to pop up with somebody, seeing somebody. I mean, I saw Christopher Lloyd at Trader Vic's. I was using the restroom in one of the hotels at the urinal, and I looked over, and there's Malcolm McDowell using the other one next to me. I was like, this is odd.
I had one of those.
Clockwork Orange goes into my head. I'm like, oh no, what's
Is
that?
it Clockwork Orange or is it Caligula? It's like, oh, which is worse?
I had one of those freak out moments in the bathroom, not once, but twice, just coming out of the stall, going to the sink. And the first time it was Charisma Carpenter. And I was just like, because she is so freaking gorgeous in person. And I was just like, oh my God. And then the second one was Kristen Bauer, who played Pam on True Blood. And it was just one of those moments I saw her, and I was just like, I felt like one of the vampire groupies from the show. And I was like, okay, what would you like me to do for you? It's so weird because you're in the bathroom, don't be weird. And kind of like you said, stranger, you're totally weird, and you just can't help it because it's just like an instinctual reaction.
Right.
But yeah,
I am extremely susceptible to geeking out, to fanboying out. I've gotten better about it as the years have gone on. As I've interacted more and more with celebrities, actors, actresses, directors, whatnot. I credit DragonCon for that, because the fact that, I think it was because they're not behind a glass wall like they are at some cons.
Right.
Literally after the pandemic, a lot of them were behind plastic walls.
Right.
They were out there, and I know he's behind the scenes, but I know Mike's got stories of meeting especially a couple of actors who've been doctors over the years at certain times on the con floor. You just never know where you're going to pop in and see somebody. Channing, do you have a question for us?
Yeah, but first I want to say I need to start hanging out with you all, because outside of my story, that was from like 2007, 2008. I have not bumped in to just any celebrities randomly. So I'll buy drinks, but I got to start hanging out with you all. But I'm just curious, does anybody have a story about a celebrity that they had a chance to meet and they didn't, and now they kind of regret it? Because I missed out on the Stan Lee photo ops when he was there. And I swear it was like the next year after that, he was gone. So I'm just curious, was there somebody you all missed and you were like, darn, I wish I had gone?
How much time do we have? Because that was one of the things that I think when I first started going to DragonCon, like I said, it was 2007, and the sheer number of people on the guest list floored me, because you have I think at that time I counted, there were like almost 400 guests, most of them from media and film and TV. And I'm sitting there like, and I can get access to all of this for, I think at the time I paid like $110 for a ticket for a 4-day weekend. And that blew my mind. And it was kind of like, okay, so I'm here at DragonCon because of these 3 Harry Potter people. And then there's Jason Momoa. So those are the priorities. But then you start looking at the rest of the guest list and you don't know where to stop or how. It's like, how do you prioritize? Do you just put names in a jar and just kind of, you know, pick and choose who you're gonna meet? It's one of those things where it's like you literally have to do that because there's so much. And then of course, if you're doing stuff like I'm on panels a lot of times or I'm going to panels, it's hard trying to coordinate. Okay, so in order for me to meet this person, I have to make it to the Marriott from all the way at the Sheraton within a 15-minute block. You know, it's hard. I think I had a similar experience. I was waiting in line for a photo op with Joe Manganiello. This was back when True Blood was still popular. Alcide had just come on the scene, and you know everybody was fawning over him. The line went so long, and he actually stayed a little bit longer, but then he had to leave to go to his panel. So of course I try to, you know, I'm following like at a respectful distance, but I'm following trying to be like, okay, I got to go to his panel. I got to at least see him. And the panel was full. I couldn't even get in the room. So it's like those moments, yeah, they happen way more than I would like them to. But Stan Lee was also one because you always think, oh, they'll probably come back next year. And he was kind of a fixture.
Mm-hmm.
And then he passed, and it's just like, wow, how I can't, you can never get that back now.
I think mine's Patrick Stewart. He was a guest early on after I started going, and back at that time, I was not ready to pay $100, you know, for the photo autograph experience.
Mhm.
And nowadays, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to miss this opportunity to meet this person, or, you know. But back then, all the money went to the hotel and the flights,
Right.
you know, because I'm coming from another state.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how many more times Patrick Stewart might be, you know, coming around to Dragon Con or any other event near me. So
and his autograph price has probably gone up a little.
Oh
bit.
yeah. Well, the demand for his time has gone up.
Yeah.
I don't,
because I think that's one of the things when my daughters and I volunteered for photo ops, you know, that was one of the perks. We got free photo ops. So my daughter, who has never seen a Star Trek episode in her life, has a photo with Patrick Stewart because she happened to be working in that particular room while I was working in a room with some other celebrities. And she also got the cast of The Walking Dead that last year that they were there. And she's got a picture with Scott Wilson. She's got a picture with Stephen Young. And she was like, I didn't even know who these people were because we hadn't started watching the show at that point. But now she has that picture, you know, and it's just, so many missed opportunities.
Yeah. And I learned pretty quickly, or I reconciled it pretty quickly with myself by saying, you know, a lot of these people I know they get paid a lot for what they do. In most cases, some they don't, some don't. But a lot of these people have entertained me for free. So like, you know, if I have to put down like $80 or $60 or $100 or whatever, you know, I think it's worth it. Now that depends. There are some times where it's like, I mean, you're just another cog in the assembly line. Like you're just like, you know, boom, 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 and they barely even look at you. Or, you know, unfortunately, the people that were running when I did meet Stan Lee at Dragon Con one year, but the people that were handling and were just treating like it was just an assembly line. You could barely say a sentence to him before they were like, okay, move on. Like it was just, and it was too bad. Fortunately, I happened to just accidentally, I found myself behind him one time when he was walking across the sky bridge from one hotel to the other. And I was just like, I am literally following in the footsteps of one of my heroes. I was like, that's pretty cool. But on the other hand, Patrick Stewart, who I did also meet, he was gracious. I mean, I talked to him for like about 6, 7, 10 minutes, maybe. He was very, very personable. Yeah, the ones that give you that moment, I felt that like that's really special. I think they really understand what they're doing. Some of them, it's just a 20 or 40 for them. They're just bringing home bags of cash. Um, uh, so I think though, if I had to pick going back to your question, Janning, I got Shatner and Nimoy's autograph at Dragon Con when they were there the first year that they were there, and I'm glad I did. That was more of an assembly line thing, but I'm still glad I did that. But what I didn't do a couple years before that was I didn't get James Doohan's autograph, and he passed away like I think the next year or the year after or something like that, and I was like, damn it, like because it's important to me to say thank you to them, for the what they've done for me. And that's the other thing too. We're talking about all these prices, and they've gone up, and sometimes they seem insane for getting a signature or getting a photo or whatever. But I believe most of them are perfectly willing to have a moment with you without you paying. Like if you don't want to get an autograph, if you can't afford an autograph or can't get a photo or whatever, I think if you just wait in line and just want to like ask them a question or say something like that, I think 9 times out of 10 that's allowed, or that's something you can do. So don't be like, anybody who's new to this thing, don't be afraid of that. Like, don't be afraid. I mean, you might have to wait a while to talk to them, but you don't necessarily have to buy something. They want you to, or the handlers want you to. Sometimes they don't really care.
I was in the Walk of Fame, and James Cosmo, who most would know from Game of Thrones as the commander of the Night Watch, but I seen James Cosmo in everything, Braveheart, Train Spotting, whatnot. I mean, I've watched him of numerous movies, and he was by himself, and he didn't really have any line. I just walked up to him, just be like, "Thank you, just thank you for all the years of entertaining me, because I really love his characters that he portrays." I don't have anyone I've missed. I actually got to help the volunteer staff for the signing of Stan Lee that last year, because it was in the artist alley. So I got to actually say hi to him.
Oh yeah, that last year.
His last year. And so that was nice. My one friend works the Walk of Fame. He's part of the security. He's a 6'9" monster. So I get to walk with him, and he'll just walk up to the celebrities because they see him all day long, and I'll follow behind him, and he's like, "Yeah, I want to introduce you to my buddy Stranger." I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" So I've gotten to say hello to a lot of people that way. I am bummed I didn't get to get BD Wong's autograph. I got Nick Frost that year, but not his, and they were both there, and I just didn't have time to get both. I am super happy I got Ron Glass's autograph before he passed, because that was a while ago, and I loved watching him on Firefly and crying in Serenity, and then remembering watching Nick at Night with my father and him on Barney Miller. So it's like, yeah, oh my God, these people, wow. Like it's really neat to walk up to some of them. Carl Urban was great. He was there one year, and I was telling him, like, you did a fantastic job, because I read The Boys, and he's like, that's what we're trying to go for. We're trying to make sure the people who read the comics are enjoying it. I'm like, yeah, no, it's messed up. You're doing a good job.
He was at Dragon Con years before, because I met him when he was on Xena.
Right. Oh yeah.
So it was way before all that.
Wow.
Way before he really exploded.
He's been in almost every sci-fi fantasy genre.
Hasn't he though?
He really has
his way in.
Lord of the Rings. He's got the Marvel universe.
He knows where the convention money is. He's going to tap into all the fandoms.
Riddick, yeah.
Everybody's
he's hilarious on a panel.
Oh yeah.
Hilarious.
Well, he's hilarious in the photo line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who's the? Oh, I can't remember his name. The guy who's now playing Christopher Pike in the new Star Trek.
Anson Mount.
Thank you,
Anson Mount.
Okay, so I was watching Hell on Wheels, and I'm like, why do I know this guy? And I'm looking at him, and I looked him up on IMDb, and I'm like, oh my God, he was the Buddy Holly dude in Pool Hall Junkies. And it's like such a rare, like, you know, movie, but he's super young and he's got short cut hair, no facial hair, big black Buddy Holly glasses. And I said it to him, and like I walked up to him, I'm like, I loved you in Pool Hall Junkies. He's like, why do you know that? I'm like, because I'm weird. All right. I was like, my last name's Strangeway. I was like, I watch all sorts of stupid indie movies, but you're great in Hell on Wheels, and I know you're awesome in Star Trek. So, but God, I remember you in Pool Hall Junkies, and that sticks with me because your eyes.
it was a way, and that, you know, that was a way for me to sort of get over my nervousness or Spanish, whatever. I made sure that, you know, going into the situation, like standing in line or even before that, I made sure that I knew in my head, like, okay, what's one question or comment that you can make? And you know, just keep focus on that. And, you know, once you get up there, you know, put it out there and then see where it goes. And sometimes, you know, it lands and sometimes it doesn't, but at least you go up there and you can have a moment rather than just up there and be like, thank you, and then leave. You know, I mean, it took me a while to get over that. But I did find that once I had that in mind, like just to ask something a specific or whatever, then it was much easier. Like, as you said, they're just people.
All right. Well, speaking of just being people, also keep in mind that sometimes, you know, the celebrity might not react the way you would hope they would react to you, but they could be exhausted. They're at a convention.
Hungry.
They're working. You know, they might have gone out all night long at Dragon Con just like you did and didn't get much sleep. Yeah, they could be, their meal could be late. They could not be being used to being around 100,000 people and have anxiety because celebrities get anxiety too. So keep in mind, you know, that everybody's human, you know, even famous people.
Right. Everybody has a bad day. You know, although there's, you know, I mean, unfortunately, there's other instances where
there's a difference between somebody being rude,
right,
and somebody having an off day.
And I certainly don't want to get into the dark side of because there's, you know, there's a whole bunch of stories about certain folks or whatever, but this is more of a celebration of guests. That so last question for the group, because right now it's still pretty early. You know, we know that there's some Firefly people because it's an anniversary. Maybe there'll be more Firefly people. We don't know. There's some speculation on that. We've got ourselves The Last Doctor, which is pretty cool.
Isn't it also a Doctor Who anniversary this year?
It is. So we've already got one 60th Doctor
anniversary.
We've already got one Doctor and companion. So who knows what you know, if the TARDIS door will open up and some more will come through. Do you have a dream guest, somebody that you really want to see? Jed, you are just like, yeah, you're on it. Who's your dream guest?
I want Pedro Pascal.
Oh,
come on.
I will second that.
Yeah, Last of Us, Mandalorian. Come on.
I will second that and bring Bella Ramsey with you. Yes, I will second that. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to piggyback on that too because. And I know she's been at Dragon Con before, but for some reason I just have not really like paid that much attention, I guess. But now I would harm a lot of people to see Katie Sackhoff. I mean, I've enjoyed her in other roles, but man, as Bo-Katan, she is killing it. Yep. And I love that so much. So if she comes back, I will be. It's hard for me because I have to leave my table. So I don't get to do the guest thing as much, but I try. If there's somebody that is worth it, I will, you know, I'll put a sign on my table, be like, be back in 3 hours or whatever it's going to take. You know?
I'll second Kate Sackhoff. Her birthday just passed, and I was like, she's only 4 months older than me.
Awesome. Yeah. There you go. Thanks for that.
I would love to see. I don't know if you guys have watched it, but I am completely now obsessed with the Netflix show Shadow and Bone. It's
Oh,
based on
Ben
the
Barnes. Can we get some
Yeah,
Ben Barnes? Hello.
I will take anybody from that cast. Give me Ben Barnes, give me the Crows, give me the Green. I don't care. Anybody from that cast.
Oh, getting all
please.
getting all the Crows crew would be that'd be great.
I think I would lose my mind if they showed up at DragonCon. I would just be there like, okay, I'm happy.
Have security on standby.
Channing, anybody on your list?
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. It's kind of out of left field. Aisha Tyler.
Yes.
She's great. She has attended a bunch of different cons before. She's a gamer. She's an actress. She produces her own movies. She's dipped her toe into different fandoms. And I feel like if there is a guest you could bump into at a bar having a drink, it would be her.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she's probably the one guest I could just bump into at Pulse Bar one day, and she'd be cool. So yeah, I'm going with Aisha Tyler.
Nothing. It used to be that DragonCon was at a certain level in terms of the guests that they were able to get, but I think certainly once they got Shatner and Nimoy, that ceiling just exploded, and now. I mean, anything's possible. I mean, we've seen James Gunn there. We've seen Mickey Rooney there. We've seen Larry Hagman and Barbara Eden there. Carrie Fisher's been. Yeah, we've seen
David Tennant.
There's like almost all the doctors, I think, at this point, almost that are still with us, have been there. I think. I would not be surprised if to see who could be. There's nobody I think that's quote unquote too big for them at this point, which is just amazing and astounding on their part. So, but they have to fill out an application just like everybody else.
Aisha Tyler, I know you're watching, so just go ahead, get the link to DragonCon. Pedro, I know you're out there. Just go ahead, fill out that form.
This is the way.
Also, Pedro, we know that you're a big geek. Yes. And you're into a lot of fandoms too. So come on, Pedro. This is the event for you.
It's true.
You've got to bring Grogu.
Now, hey, you can leave. I'm fine without Grogu. If it gets you here, let somebody else.
I'll just bring my Grogu.
Yeah, I think we all have a Grogu we can bring to make up for it.
DragonCon does do a really good blend of bringing some of the older guests from shows that haven't, seen the light of day in a while, but they're still relevant, and also kind of keeping, current with a lot of newer, shows, movies, whatnot, book series. I mean, so that's a nice balance. It's not just, it's the uber expensive celebrities that will only show up, if you've got $200. It's a nice mix. That's what I love about it.
I think mix of people we grew up with.
Yeah.
And loved as children, and people we learned, met as adults,
and certainly the fact that over the last decade, the film making in Atlanta area has exploded. So that makes it easier for to have celebrities because they're right here. A lot of
kind of bummed. I feel they missed the opportunity to get Brendan Fraser before he won the Oscar. I was in town with Doom Patrol, and I was like, and you had some of the other guests from Doom Patrol, and I was like, why isn't Brendan Fraser here?
Yeah,
I'm just mad I missed him the year that he came as a guest and was just kind of walking through the crowd random.
Hey, but we know it's on his radar.
Yeah, absolutely. I would not put it past it, Oscar winner or not. Like I said, I don't think anybody's too big for DragonCon. So, very cool.
Maybe Robert Downey Jr., but
he seems down to earth enough that I think he would come like adoring fans.
Okay, Robert Downey Jr.'s agent. Let's say his agent, not him specifically.
I could see that.
Yeah, that's probably true. All right. One last comment. I think the timing hurts DragonCon a lot of TV. Yes, that's true. A lot of people are filming. A lot of shows are being filmed, which is why certain people have to cancel last minute because they have a job, et cetera, et cetera. They get a gig. That's certainly understandable. And that's a risk you take for if you're just coming to DragonCon to meet one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be great to have some of the Babylon 5 people back again for
who's
an
left?
anniversary. Well, there is that too, but
The worst part about Babylon 5 cast, not many of them are left alive.
yeah,
So
that's
sad.
true. They used to be a huge staple at Dragon Con.
yeah.
I mean, it used to be. I think Dragon Con was like, and Babylon 5 helped each other out as far as popularity. I think they had a really great relationship because, man, there was a section of Dragon Con that seemed to be devoted to them every year for a while.
Oh,
so
B5 is a fantastic show.
Absolutely. I'm glad it's being rediscovered lately too.
It took them a while to make it available for streaming.
I think what HBO or Prime has it. One of them has it.
Yeah.
All right. So we've yes. So hopefully our dreams come true and we get the cast of The Mandalorian here.
Or The Last of
Carl
Us.
Weathers.
Yeah.
Action Jackson.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
All
I
right.
like that one.
All right. Now we are going to draw a close to this episode of the 2023 Dragon Con Report. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. And thanks, Strangeway, for showing up. That's really awesome to content. It's been way too long since you've been on this show.
It has been numerous years, but hey, you just let me know. Thank you for having me. Seriously.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. And like I said, thanks for last minute, because we did have behind the scenes here, we did have a cancellation, so we had to make do. So but you guys stepped up and I appreciate that. And Hanako, same to you. Thank you so much. Oh wait, before I go on, Strangeway, do you have anything you want to
plug? If you're in the artist alley, come and you see me. I'm usually wearing a kilt, so. But my Instagram is there. It's @StrangewayFTW. So.
Gotcha. Very cool. And Anago, do you have something you want to plug? Of course you do.
Of course I do. Yes, you can check out my podcast. It's the Fandom Hybrid Podcast. Again, we talk about a lot of genre TV, pop culture, geek culture. We just have a lot of fun recapping. We are at Fandom Hybrid on all social media. We are also on YouTube. We have a Discord channel that you can chat with us at. And I'm also at Dragon Con. You can find me on panels on the young adult literature track, American sci-fi and fantasy track. I have done panels for urban fantasy and alternative history as well. So, yep.
Awesome. Again, thank you both for joining us. You guys are going to be back. I know it.
Thank
you guys have been great. So thank you guys.
This was fun.
Channing, thank you, sir. Anything you want to plug?
It is always a pleasure. Like always, I'll just plug my group, the Black Geeks of Dragon Con. It's not a protest, it's a party. Look for us on Facebook. We're definitely having our photo shoot again this year. And come out and join us, see some great cosplay.
Awesome. And Jen, thank you.
Always a pleasure. And folks can find me elsewhere here on the ESO network at the Blurred Nerds podcast. Currently on hiatus, but we have over 200 episodes that you can make your way through and get caught up to the present. You can also find me on Facebook at the Dragon Con Parties, Meetups, and More group, where me and my cohorts comb the schedules and find both official and unofficial parties, concerts, meetups, and more to help make your Dragon Con just a little bit more extra special.
Awesome. And thank you, Director Mike Faber, for working your magic behind the scenes. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, Mike.
We try to cover all we can with these shows, but to keep up with the latest news, please check out the official Dragon Con website, all their social media outlets. They're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, just like we are. They're on Discord. We're not, so they have a leg up on us on that. All the fan tracks are active on Facebook as well, so check them out because they are looking for volunteers and they are looking for panel ideas. So reach out to some track folks. Now it's not too early. It's not too early at all to get involved. We are a proud member of the ESO Network. We have a TeePublic store filled with all kinds of cool stuff, including a very cool design for the Dragon Con Report podcast. I'm just going to lift up my shirt now. I'm not going to. So
phrasing, man, phrasing.
Yeah. Yeah, no one wanted that. There's a link for that at the top of the ESO Network page, or also I'll be in the show notes if you're listening to this podcast. And we also have a Patreon page. And once again, thank you so much for your support. We really, really, really do appreciate it. Whether you're watching or listening to us, please help support the show with a like and a share. If you want to leave direct feedback for us and comment on the show, please feel free to keep your shirt on. Please feel free to email us at feedback@dragonconreport.com. You can also reach out to all of us at various social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatnot. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Mike Gordon. And as always, it's been my pleasure. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you at the con.